Hello there. I am S.B.R.E. Brown, PhD. Hark now hear the angels singing. A goat video was uploaded today that man will watch forevermore because of the diligent efforts of S.B.R.E. Brown. Now, today we're going to be having a look at my goat videos. The greatest of all time, no, goat pens, sorry, greatest of all time fountain pens. It's always a struggle to select these, but this year I found it really easy. Now, I'm just going to very quickly lay down a couple of rules for this particular video. Remember, these are my personal favorite fountain pens. These are the pens I have used most this year. My choice is not your choice. So there are still no Mont Blancs, there are still no Pelicans. I do not own pens from those brands. It doesn't mean they're bad brands, it just means that those brands are not really my brands, right? So there we are. I'm going to adjust this ever so slightly. Sorry about that. So take this for what it is. It's just a fun video with a couple of pens that I really like. Wearing this bow tie has exploded. Oh my god. Anyway, so that's part of it. Just the fun, bit of eye candy, pens that I really like, and that's it. I'm now going to zoom in a little bit so I can show you the pens a little bit more up close, and that's it. So you don't have to ask where the pens for the common man are, you don't have to ask where the Mont Blancs are, you don't have to ask where the Pelicans are, you don't have to ask any of these things. This introduction gets a little bit longer every year. Okay, I have here next to me 10 pens, and if you've seen these videos before, you know what's going to go down. I'm going to cover each pen. This is a more personal video, so it's not a review of these pens. These pens have been reviewed except for one. I'll tell you about which one that is when we get there. It's just me talking about why I have used this pen so much and why in my mind it is a great pen. And this is a velvet smoking jacket. Now, first pen. I've had it inked up this week. I've been using it a lot at work. This is the Edison Collier Grande. By the way, a lot of these pens on the list, I'm sorry for this lack of structure, a lot of these pens on the list, they were also on last year's list, but there are some changes, and I'll talk about why. Edison Collier Grande. Brian Gray, super nice guy. Andrea Gray, super nice lady. It's a wonderful company in my mind. I already see that I got ink all over this, so I'm just going to quickly wipe this down. That's why I have a towel there. Lovely pen. A larger version of the regular Collier. This one has a, what do they call it? Draw filler, I believe. So it is a vacuum-based system. Very nice, works very well. There's a lot of ink in there. It has a number 8 nib made by Magna Carta, which these are very nice nibs. It's a very smooth writer, ebonite feed, larger pen, large capacity. Just an overall lovely pen to use. And this material, it's a translucent tortoise material. I don't know how well you can see, but you can actually make out the nib. You can see it through the cap, right? I find it a very attractive material. It reminds me a bit of amber, and I just really love it. Huge capacity. People have asked this, I have had no issues with ink burping. I have had no issues really whatsoever. Once you get to the absolute last drops of ink, maybe you get some burping. I have not experienced it. Another comment I got over the years is the Edison pen material is very thin. I'm not sure about that. Just saying. No issues. So lovely pen that I really enjoy using. I will of course do writing samples with all these pens in just a second. When I say second, think 20 minutes, because it's going to take me a while to go over these 10 pens. The next pen is this one. Yardelet Viceroy Grand. This was a gift from John many years ago. I was still in the Netherlands. I want to say this was around winter 2013. So I've had this pen for about 10 years now. It's a stellar pen. Yardelet is, if you don't know the brand, they're in the UK. They make pens out of sterling silver. It takes many, many hammer strikes to create this pattern. I'll show you better, give you a better look when I tilt the camera down and do writing. It's a beautiful pen. It's a larger pen. There is a yard lead, so this is the Viceroy Grand. There is also a regular Viceroy, and there used to be pocket Viceroys. I'm actually not sure if they still make the pocket pens. They have reduced their lineup a bit recently. In any case, this is the large version. You feel the weight of the silver. If you've ever held a yard lead, you know exactly what I mean. There's all the hallmarks. As I said, this pattern is hammered by hand. That means that whoever has made your pen in the yard lead company, that will determine, that was a terrible sentence, I'm sorry, but that will determine what your pen looks like. So I've seen slightly different variations of these finishes, making for a very personalized pen. Lovely, beautiful pen, and what I can't get over with this pen is what an amazing writer it is. 18 karat gold nib. I frankly do not know who makes these nibs. I probably should have looked that up, but I didn't. And someone in the chat's going to say, it's this company. Whoever it is, they're superb nibs. I've had a couple of yard leads in my life. They've all written beautifully out of the box. And this is no exception. Very smooth, very pleasant writer. And just the overall feel of the pen when you hold it, the looks, it ticks every single box. For me. For you might be different. Silver is not for everyone. I know that. But for me, it ticks every box. And I will say, this pen is a conversation starter. A lot of people who say this ask me, ask me about it, what it is, why it looks the way it does, etc. So if you care about that sort of thing, that's interesting too. But to me, it's just a testament of the pen's quality. It stands out. There is nothing else like this, really. And such a fantastic writer. Okay, the next pen was not on the list last year. I used it again a couple times this year, and I can't get enough of it. This is the Delta Roma Imperiale. The Roma Imperiale pens from Delta. This is the original Delta company, not the revived Delta company. They were ebonite pens, I want to say. I'm pretty sure there was a green one and I think a very dark blue one. Maybe don't take my word for it in this case, because I have not owned any of those. This bow tie is really disintegrating as we speak. I'm sorry. Large pens. Now, Airline International had an exclusive made. They had one version of the Roma Imperiale in translucent yellow, and they had one in clear, the demo. This is the demonstrator. Demonstrators are not for everyone. I kind of like a clear pen, but you know, that's just me. Beautiful pen. Large, has a piston filler. Some would say this is a captive converter. It's fine with me. It has a decent ink capacity. Definitely a large pen, just to put things in perspective. That is a number 8 nib, and it probably doesn't look that way because the pen is so big. Very pleasant. Big bulbous section, which not everyone finds comfortable. I've had no issues with it. Beautiful number 8 Bach nib, ebonite feed, writes very, very pleasantly. And it's just a wonderful smooth nib, beautiful pen. And again, bit of a conversation starter. So I really like it. I really like using it. And every time I ink it up again, I think, oh, this is really great. I should ink it up more. The reason I don't have it with me all the time is that it's big. It doesn't fit a lot of pen cases, standard pen cases. So that's fine too. The fourth pen is entirely new, and you haven't seen my review of it because I haven't recorded that review yet. I participated, I was asked by Joost Appelboom to be in his fountain pen quiz. It was a lot of fun to record those sessions, and it was a very, very close call between Katja and myself. If you've watched them, then you know all about it. And I happened to win, and that was probably a lot of luck. And I just got the questions I knew the answers to. But in any case, I won, and Joost gave me some store credit. So I picked a pen for myself. I had owned this model. I ended up selling it, and now I bought it back in a different finish. And the reason I wanted it back was that I used Douglas Rathbuns, you know, the pen reviewer. We met up with some other people from Calgary. It was a very fun lunch here in Red Deer. For the lovers, it happened at Glenn's Tea. He had one of these pens, and he had it with a broad nib, and then I found out they make them in stubs, and I wanted to try one. It is the Waterman Carène. It's an interesting choice. I don't own any other Watermans. There was a time I had quite a few Watermans. Early on, I had quite a couple of Watermans because they were easily obtained where I lived in the Netherlands. So I bought this one from Yoast. This one has a stub nib, as I said, and the most wonderful thing to me about the Carène is the nib. They have inlaid nibs. Some people call this semi-inlaid because it does stick out a little bit, but in any case, I think they're very attractive. And it's a nice pen. It's certainly not small. It's not huge, but I think Waterman does a very nice job. They typically lacquer stuff. It's a nice, deep, dark red finish, and the stub is very nice. It's quite crisp, so you do get some nice line variation out of it. It does mean you have to be a bit careful in how you hold it, especially because there isn't a whole lot of nib that sticks out beyond the section, right? So you have to be a little careful with that, finding the sweet spot, but I've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm very happy I have it. This, too, although that's not why I buy pens, but it has been a bit of a conversation starter because of the inlaid nib. People find that fascinating. It's a very, in my mind, classy design, like me. And there we are. So I really like it. Even has a spring-loaded clip. Very lovely pen. They're not, I mean, based on what's been on the list, these are not the most expensive of pens, relatively speaking, based on what's on this list. So there we are. Okay. Another one that I bet you knew was coming. Conway Stewart, Great Exhibition. Huge pen, it's 8 inches, and it has a silver overlay made by Henry Simpole, who has sadly passed away. That this pen is huge is made clear by the fact that that is a number 8 nib that definitely looks like a number 6 nib. It's just a massive, colossal pen. Eyedropper filled. I think it holds about 6 milliliters of ink. It's an insane capacity. This is the conversation starter of conversation starters. I've taken this to work. I've been writing with it with people, and they probably thought it was insane. Huge as it is, it's actually quite comfortable. Maybe not if you have smaller hands, but I find it very comfortable. It is a conversation piece. It's a beautiful pen. I absolutely love it. You don't see a lot of them. There's only 50 with a silver overlay. There is supposedly, I think, a smaller or equal number with a gold overlay. I've never seen those in real life. Rarely they come by on eBay, and I was able to snag one, but you don't see a lot of them. There's only 50 in the world, and I think people who have them tend to keep them. So there we are. I thought I wanted to create a little bit of a balance, so I put in this pen. That Conway Stewart was not cheap. This pen I've used a lot this year. It was sent to me by the company, which I called Scrivener, and then since it was pointed out to me, is actually Scrivener, which makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Anyway, this is their EDC pen. I also have the new version, which is ion plated. I haven't reviewed that yet. That's coming in the new year. By the way, that Waterman, as I said, not reviewed either, but review will be coming in the new year. I love these. This is a pocket pen. But unlike, say, Kaweco Sport, I can use this unposted. It has threads at the end, posts securely, and then you have a nice pen, number 5, Schmidt nib, nothing fancy. I think I've tuned this a little bit, but once I did that, I've had a lot of fun with it. Very robust. It's all metal, so you can drop this, no problem. EDC is a good term for it. Once posted, it's very, very nice. I gave one of these, I gave, I think, 2 of them away online in giveaways. I have given one as a birthday present to someone. He was very happy with it. These are fun pens. And I know this is not a $5 pen, so there's always, it's not that affordable. Yes, I know it's not, like, that's a relative term. Based on what I've shown you before, this pen is very affordable. Okay, so the Scrivener EDC, nice pens, fun to play with, and they work very well. Speaking of non-affordable pens, this one I've used a lot this year. This is a Classic Pens LB7 prototype. So it's an artist proof. It has Paul Rossi's PR engraved on one side and AP, artist proof, on the other side. The LB7 never went into production, which is a shame. I was able to pick this up on eBay from someone who was liquidating a personal collection. It is handmade by Paul Rossi. It has a Bock nib, number 6 nib. It does have the Classic Pens logo. It's 18K. This nib is stellar. It's a medium nib. It's nothing fancy. It's so smooth. It's so incredibly pleasant to write with. Simple plastic feed. nothing fancy. It doesn't run dry. It doesn't do anything wrong. It doesn't skip. It doesn't hard start. Out of the box, beautiful. I love this pen. It's been pointed out when I post this online. Oh, it looks just like a duofold. Pens are tubes with nibs. They tend to look alike. And I will say this does indeed look a bit like a duofold, but it's not a duofold because it's a classic pen. Okay, this was 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 of 10. The next one. This one was on the list. That one was on the list last year. It's just such a stellar writer. I'll convince you when you see the writing sample. This one was on the list too last year. Conid king size bulk filler. It's just a great pen. Had this for a number of years now because I got this not long after we arrived in Canada, I think. I just love it. It's beautifully designed. It is a clear pen. As I said, I like a clear pen. It has titanium parts. It's very much a Montblanc 149 in size, except it has an advantage. It's not a 149. I really like this design. I like the way it works. I like the filling system. I've put the original nib back on it that I got with it. It's a double broad number 8 Bock nib, ebonite feed. It's a lovely writer. It's the right size. The proportions are right. I just love it. And I keep reaching for it. In many ways simple. It is certainly not as ostentatious as this one. But it's just a lovely writer. It's great at work. This is not a conversation starter. People don't really ask me questions about this unless they're pen people and they know Conid and they ask me when they're going to be releasing the next batch, and the answer is always, I don't know. But anyway, lovely pen, big ink capacity. It's just a wonderful pen. You can drop it. It's great. It's just made in a robust fashion, and now it has a fidget spinner because this ring came loose a little bit, and I'm not fixing it because I just use it as a fidget spinner. Okay, next pen. The final two I'll end with. Well, if they are the final two, then they, by definition, are the ones I'll end with. It's been a long week. I'm recording this on a Sunday. So, fountain pens are special. Fountain pens are special because unlike ballpoints that, non-refillable ballpoints, you use them and you throw them out and that kind of stuff. With fountain pens, you build up a personal bond. And I've shown you this pen many times before. I just wanted to include it this year because I have used it this year. And some pens just have more personal meaning. This is a Parker 75 Gaudron. I have reviewed this many years ago. This was my granddad's fountain pen, and when right before he passed away, he left it to me. So when he passed away, I got it. It's part of a set. There's a matching ballpoint. It was given to him at a special time in his life, and for as long as I can remember that pen, those two pens were kept in a leather pouch by B.R.E, which is a Dutch brand. Excuse me, I have that pouch there. I can show you when I do the writing sample. They were always within arm's reach for him. When he was retired, they were always in arm's reach. The fountain pen was used to sign checks and that kind of stuff, sign wherever he had to sign. And the ballpoint was used for crossword puzzles, very important. He's had this pen for a long time. I've now had it for about 13 years. 13 years, it was 13 years ago he passed away in October. And this is a pen with personal meaning. It's not the most expensive pen in my collection. It's not the fanciest pen in my collection. But it's the pen that means the most. Because it belonged to my granddad, right? So I do use it. I don't use it all the time because I am always afraid that this will be the one pen that I ever end up losing somewhere. Obviously I don't want that. It's just a personal connection. And if we're talking about greatest of all times, that's what matters. The personal connection you have to a pen, right? What I've shown you, again, these are fairly exclusive pens. And that's not showing off. It's just that I don't have that many pens. So the ones I have are all special one way or another. Your goat pen can absolutely be a Lamy Safari, can absolutely be a Twisby, right? It's not about the price. It's about what that pen means to you. And all these pens mean something to me. So this one of all of them means the most. And then the final one that, of course, I had to include, I'm just shifting my position a little bit here. What is going on here? Oh my God. Anyway, it's the SbRe.Brown pen. This is the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande 2.0 SbRe.Brown. It's my pen. There were two kinds. There was the regular size and there was the Grande. This is the Grande. It's the 2.0, which means you can disassemble the piston. You do need to buy a wrench. It's a separate purchase, but once you have it, you have it. You can use it whenever you want. It's the pen. It's engraved. Mine actually has a steel nib, the Grande. It has my logo on it. It has my logo. Give me 1 second here. It has my logo on the cap, right? It's there. It has the ink window, which I like a lot in the 2.0 Grande, so you have an idea of how much ink you have left. This is inked exclusively with SbRe.Brown ink, obviously. Momento Zero Grande, I have often sung the praises of that model. I just love it. It's a great size to me, and this is my pen. The material was made by Jonathan Brooks, and just not to get your hopes up, they're all sold out. I don't have a secret stash. There is no more. We made what we made, and they're all gone now. I think the material is very attractive. It's a very deep, dark brown with golden swirls, which I love. The gold I specifically requested because I'm obviously the highlight in many people's lives. Or not, but I mean, that's your problem. I just love it. It's my pen, right? So obviously it's there. The next thing we need to do after this 2-hour introduction is a writing sample, which will be 6 hours. I'm going to do that next. I'll show you a bit of a close-up of the pen, and I'll do a writing sample. I'll talk a little bit more about the pens. Let's do it. All right, so here we go with these pens. I have this paper. This is cheap paper. I don't know the brand. It's just a notepad that I have, but because I have quite a lot of pens going, or will have a lot of pens going, I thought I would just use a larger pad of paper. And that's the end of it. This is the cord from my microphone, which is obviously in the way, so let me try and get that out of the way. I'm sorry. There we are. What you see is what you get with an SbRe.Brown video. Okay, I think that's out of the way. Sorry about that. Here we are. I am going to zoom in a little bit more so you really only see this paper. The Edison. Lovely pen, I think. I have sung its praises, so now I'm just going to write with it. This is a B nib, and the ink is SbRe.Brown. This is somewhat absorbent paper. It's not particularly smooth, but again, it's what I had in stock right now. Lovely writer, very smooth. Again, on less smooth paper you feel a bit more feedback, but overall very smooth. I love these number 8 nibs from Magna Carta. I find them very pleasant to use. Nice ebonite feed, very pleasant. And again, with this pen, just the ink capacity is very large. Very, very lovely, pleasant pens. Okay, next. The Yarda-led Viceroy Grande. Just beautiful. This is, Victorian. This is another B nib. This was steel. This is 18K. And the ink is Iroshizuku Konpeki, which is not ink I typically put in this pen, but I thought I'd try it out, and it ends up, it looks that I really like it, actually. Okay. Oops. It is starting to run a little low. I was hoping I could just squeeze out this writing. Listen to the nib. Makes its own sound. This skip is really because there's no more ink left, I fear. Yeah, no, I should have. Anyway, doesn't skip typically, doesn't hard start. beautiful nib. This is the last bits of ink. I have many other writing samples of, yeah, I think that's really it. I have many other writing samples with this pen, so feel free to check out the review, which is many years old, but there we are. Okay, what else? Delta Roma Imperiale, number 8 Bock nib, beautiful gold nib. This is another 18, no, sorry, this is a 14K, sorry. They all blur together at some point. Ebonite feed. This is the demo, and we have an 18K, and I honestly forgot if it was medium. There we go, medium or fine. Yes, I've had this one for a while, I forgot. And this is just Waterman blue. It's just their regular blue. It's not the blue black. I forget. Is it was it Serenity now? I keep forgetting the name. Clearly a finer nib, as you can see. This is by no means a very broad line. But it's so smooth. It's such a pleasure to use. I just really, really love this pen overall. And for the record, it actually can be posted. And then you have this massive, massive thing in your hand. That's what she said. Now, here we have the entirely new pen to us. It is, of course, the Waterman Carène with its fantastic inlaid nib. This one posts, although I tend not to use it posted, but you can actually use it. Clearly a normal size pen, and I just love this finish, and I'm happy to see this light picks it up. It has this sort of mottled, very dark, deep red, and I just love it. So here we have the Waterman Carène. That's a really weird, anyway, forgive me for that. This is an 18K stub. It's marked ST on the back. You probably can't see that. It has to catch the light exactly the right way, but there we are. Weird. And then we have, this is Waterman, whatever their blue-black is called. They only have 6 inks, I think, so it shouldn't be hard to find this or that one. Like I said with this one, smaller sweet spot. It is a pretty crisp stub. I'll show you this in a second. But for this one, you really need to align the nib properly. This is under no pressure. You see you get a lot of line variation out of it. So I really like it for that. That does make it a bit sharper. It does make it so that you have to really pay a little bit of attention to how you hold the pen, what you're doing. But it is a very, very pleasant writer, and I just love it. I'm very happy I got this, and thanks to Joost for sending me all the answers to the quiz in advance. He didn't, I'm just joking. No, really, I'm just joking. But it was a lot of fun. Okay, Conway Stewart. It does post, but when it posts, it doesn't even fit. So then I have to zoom out for you to be able to see this. It's not a small one. It's a very, very large pen. It would be insane to use that posted. Also, look at this cap. And then look at this Scrivener EDC. Yeah, so to put things in rather a harsh perspective, there we are. Okay, let's see what we have. We have here Conway Stewart Great Exhibition. So I was just checking if everything was still in view. Should move that up a bit. This is an 18K medium nib, and the ink is Conway Stewart blue. A little bottle came with the pen. I think you can refill the pen maybe 10 times from that bottle, and then the bottle is gone. This is the way when it comes to huge capacity eyedroppers, isn't it? The way jumps over the fox. Or somewhat. That was a great sentence, but here we are. Lovely writer. Again, number 8 nib, and I say again, it doesn't look like a number 8 nib, but do I have a number 6 nib? Yes. 1 second. It really is a number 8 nib. Anyway, great pen, lovely pen, and I say again, surprisingly comfortable. It really is. Maybe not to write 50 pages, but for normal writing, really pleasant. Okay, next we go to the Scrivener. So I said it again, the Scrivener EDC. Now, I seem to recall, full disclosure, that I made this nib a little wetter. It was dry. I found that a lot of the number 5 Schmidt nibs are on the drier side. This is just steel, and this is, I want to say, medium. Yes. This is, sorry for the bad writing, Edelstein Star Ruby Red, which is a red I do like a lot. It's a very nice wet ink too. This is just a lovely pen. I will say, posted, it gets a little top heavy, so I tend to hold it a little bit more highly, like this. And then it writes perfectly well. Round nib, nothing fancy. Again, just made it a little wetter. And there we are. Pretty smooth, pleasant writer. Okay, I'll move this up a little bit again. LB7, artist proof. Again, Bock nib, medium. It does have the classic pens imprint. And, oops. And this is Leonardo blue, which has rapidly become probably my favorite blue. It has a tiny bit of red sheen to it, hence the hard start, I feel. But it's just such a lovely ink, a very dark, deep blue. I'm almost out of it. And this is an ink I will be repurchasing for sure. Just because I love it so much, and I will say I find that the match of this finish of pen, especially this diffusion bonded acrylic there, which is also at the end of the cap, the match of that with this ink is just perfect. So for me, that's the ink that goes into that pen. Again, lovely writer, really, really pleasant. Okay, I'm just preparing here the conid. I just opened up the end so it has good flow. This is the conid, if you don't mind. I'm not going to put in bulk filler, but this is the king size. It has a 14K double broad nib. And this ink is Waterman Purple. And every time I haven't used Waterman Purple for a while and then I use it again, I'm blown away by it. When I think of a purple, this is it. Just a really lovely, pleasant ink. And the nice thing about these Waterman inks, you've noticed I've used 3 already here. They're not super expensive. And they're pretty ubiquitous and they work really well. So and here I was hoping I'd be able to fit all writing samples on the one page, but I can't. Anyway, the Conid, lovely pen. I just really, really like it. It's so robust and so simple, works so well. Okay, then here we have Parker 75 Gaudron. By the way, this one was designed in such a way you may not be able to see. You see those little lines on that band there? You can actually just pinch the nib and feed between thumb and index finger and rotate them. So, because this is a faceted section, so you can rotate the nib in such a way that it matches your writing angle, which is pretty cool. They designed it that way. This is clearly set up now for me, but here we go. Parker Gaudron. This is I want to say 8. It's a 14. Yes. I said 8. That doesn't matter. Waterman blue black. My granddad always used it with the standard Parker cartridges, just their regular Quink blue. I just don't like Quink very much. It's very pale. I just don't really like it personally, so I went with this. A nice blue-black ink. I was going to write blue-black, you see that? A nice blue-black ink, I think, adds just a little bit of cachet to your writing, because it looks a little bit more distinguished than a regular royal blue does, in my mind. Over the dog, period. Okay, now we have only one more. Not bad for inexpensive paper. There's a little bit of bleed through there, but that's a double broad nib, so what can we expect? The final one, S.B.R.E. Brown. This is the S.B.R.E. Brown by, oh God, I can't write. Leonardo by Carolina Pen Company. Jonathan Brooks made the material. By Applebaum, who sold the pen. It's a lot of people. Hashtag boom. The nib is not what you would get if you purchased it, because I think these came with gold nibs. I have the humble steel nib. That's because I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe. Just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe. I can't even speak anymore. It's been a long term. Teaching advanced research methods and advanced stats at the same time does this to people. Quick Brown Fox jumpers over the lazy dog. It's a cool writer. I like it. Simple, medium, steel nib. I didn't bother to write that down because, as I said, that's not what they came with anyway. Steel medium, very simple. Mine has an ABS feed, not the ebonite feed. I should at some point see if Salvatore could make me one of those nibs in gold. Anyway, here we are. Lovely writer. Big ink capacity. Ink window. Can be disassembled to grease the piston, all that kind of stuff. I just love it. But I am hashtag biased in this case, aren't I? Anyway, I wish you a very happy set of holidays, whatever you do or do not celebrate. I wish you a very happy new year. We'll see what the channel does in the new year. I do have some ideas for a couple changes I may want to make / have to make based on time constraints, but there we are. I hope this was useful. I hope you've had a bit of eye candy. There will be pictures of the pens on the website. And there we are. So, thank you for your viewership. Without you, these videos would not exist. And I really appreciate your continued support. Old viewers, new viewers, I really appreciate it. I hope this was a bit of fun, and I'll gladly see you in 2024. Bye.